Okay, so, whoa, that's really zoomed in. So, long story short, Taco Bell was closed and Waffle House wasn't answering. So, I wasn't about to wait on food. Nope, not tonight because I really have a serious topic that I want to talk about. So, we're having Michelangelo's Baked Ziti. If you haven't tried it, it's amazing. And cheddar jalapeno Cheeto popcorn. It's fire. This is probably hot, but so fucking fire. Literally a 10 out of 10. Okay, so tonight I'm scrolling through TikTok as I normally do. And I've seen this creator. Well, I seen her original video first. She's the car girl. And Mama Tot replied to her back in June, but somehow it's just now showing up on my For You page. I don't know how that happens. Anyways, she was walking through Walmart and she seen these two girls together and they were staring at her. Now, I have been asked to take pictures in public. Not a big deal. I don't mind taking pictures in public at all. I've never turned anyone down. Ever. And she said the same thing. That she loves taking pictures with people. She loves meeting people. But these girls didn't say anything to her. They just kept staring at her. And as she walked by, she heard them whisper, "That's the girl from TikTok." And she said as she went around the corner, she heard them say, "She's bigger in person than I thought." Okay, listen. That's so fucked up because we are, anyone who has weight issues with themselves, doesn't matter how big or little they are. That's why it doesn't matter the size of the person. You should always watch what you say. Like, if that would have been me, like, bitch, oh my God. And then at the end of her video, she was like, and you're, how'd she say it? She said, like, you're ruder than in person than I thought you'd be. Like, good for her. And anybody who behaves that way in public to someone and makes them feel like that should have to come on publicly on a platform and admit that they did that and say, "I'm sorry." I mean, are we really still in 2022 making people feel like shit about their weight? Or, I don't know, because they have freckles? Or, I don't know, because of the kind of shoes they wear? Like, are we really in 2022 with this bored ass bitch snooze fest energy? Let's see, Crystal. Hi, Morgan. So glad you're live again. You were absolutely right. It is what counts on the inside of a person, not the outside. Amen. Krista, my biatch. Hi, Morgan. Just seen you were live. What are you talking about? Okay. So this just came across my For You page today. This girl has been so fucking sweet to me. Let me just say that. She's known as the car girl on TikTok. She has the most southern voice you'll ever hear in your life. She's huge on TikTok, so you all probably know who I'm talking about. But she was walking through Walmart and these two girls were staring at her. You can always tell when someone either A, wants to ask if you're from someone online, because they just kind of stare at you. A lot of times they're nervous, which me, I'm very outspoken, okay? She's not like that, but I am. I'll be like, "Are you wondering if I'm Morgan Shea?" Like, I'll straight up just ask you, like, because it's awkward. Are we just going to stand here and stare at each other? Or can, you know, I'll break the ice. I'm Sagittarius. I don't give a fuck. Okay? And if you say no, then I'll be like, okay, well, why the fuck are you staring at me then? Like, for real. But she is more shy in person, and so she just kept walking. And as she was walking by, I think she was being nice in saying that the girls were kind of whispering. I don't think they were whispering. I think it was like this. I think that's the girl from TikTok. That's probably exactly how they said it. And she said, I was embarrassed, so I didn't say anything because I didn't know if they liked me or not, which is probably the safer thing to do. But I'm an idiot, so, and we know that already. So she went around to the next aisle, and she said, at a normal speaking voice, they said, wow, she's way bigger in person than I thought. And she said, had I not been me, I would have knocked the shelf over on them. I would have went over there and said, huh? What was that? You lame bored bitch. What did you just say? And she, of course, it hurt her feelings, and she came on her TikTok crying. And then these huge creators stitched her, including myself. And like I said in my TikTok, if you girls are following me even, I said it on TikTok, if you're that proud of what you had to say it publicly. Where are you? Huh? You loser bored bitch, where are you? Come publicly and say, yeah, I'm the one that said that. And either just admit that you're a POS or apologize publicly. I'm so sick of these nice creators being treated like shit. We're going to end up losing all of the nice creators. See, listen, I'm a Sagittarius with a Scorpio rising. I will fuck with you. I will make you dread that you hate commented me. 100%. I have had people email me that have been in my comments fucking with me and email me and say, wow, like, you really came for blood. Yes. Because you're not going to bully my supporters in the comments. And you're not going to bully me. How about that? The fuck? These people are so bored. They have nothing better to do than to talk about, wait, oh my God. Really? What kind of cheese do you use with Parmesan? I don't know what kind of cheese this is. It's just the baked ziti by Michelangelo's. It's good as fuck, though. These little things are expensive, but this one's actually really good. Like, come on. Wait. I'm bored. You're lame and I'm bored. Like, for real. And Linda Sue. She's another one. Baked ziti by Michelangelo, I think. Why is it cutting half of your... I think I'll put it on my grocery list. It's like removing part of your comment. Name withheld by Google for security. That's weird. I don't know what your name is, whoever's commenting that, because it's literally telling me that your name's being withheld by Google for security. But yeah, these are good as fuck. They're expensive. It's like $6 at my grocery store for these little dinners, but they're fucking fire. Like, really, any of them. The lasagna, if you like lasagna, no. If you like lasagna, fuck. With, what's that fucking cheese called? Starts with an R. I think. Anyways, the fucking cheese that you use to make fucking lasagna with. That's going to bug the shit out of me. Ricotta. See, that's why Krista is one of my top moderators, because she's in here with me. Ricotta. If you like lasagna with ricotta, which I do not. So here's a little hack. Yeah, $6 with not tax. However, someone told me on TikTok that you can get them at the dollar store for $4.50. So I haven't checked my dollar store out to confirm that, but if that's true, we're about to be fucking it up, because they're so good. There's no meat in it. It's just noodles and cheese, but the flavor is impeccable. I don't like it either. So here is I don't like cottage cheese either, Krista, but Chris does. So I'm going to give you a hack. If you buy a frozen lasagna, my nanny used to do this because I was spoiled rotten and I hate ricotta. I hate cottage cheese. I hate ricotta. I'm a texture person. Okay. So that's why I don't eat cake. I don't eat shit like that. I will eat a cheesecake. That's it. And it has to be a certain type of cheesecake because textures fuck with me, okay? So here's what you do. You can buy your frozen lasagna. Obviously, this hack is only going to work with frozen lasagna. Let me just say that, because if I don't, there will be some fucker in the comments later while I'm asleep saying, what the fuck? Why would I do this? I would just make it that way. This is for store-bought frozen lasagna. Okay? Okay. Thaw it out completely. Okay? Thaw your lasagna completely out. This is better to do, obviously, if you buy like a family size, because if you do it just with a small one, just pick it off. But if you're making it for your whole family, let it thaw completely out. And basically, those layers will peel right off. And there's usually only like one thick ass layer too of ricotta in the middle of the lasagna. And when it's thawed out, it will literally just scoop right out, and there's like none left, like at all. You cannot taste it at all. And for me, what I prefer is a mixture of cottage cheese and cream cheese. So you put 50% cream cheese to 50% cottage cheese. Mix that together and put that in the middle, and then bake that bitch and thank me later. It's fucking fire. If you have never made your lasagna with half cottage, half cream cheese, you're welcome, bitch, because you're about to be like, oh my God. So today, some crazy shit happened at the hospital. It's so good. It's so good, Krista. You'll love it. And keep in mind, I hate cottage cheese. So if you don't like cottage cheese, you'll like it that way. I promise. So some crazy shit happened at the hospital today. So I'm out in my car on like a 15-minute break. And I look like, when I'm looking just straight ahead, I can see there's like this black fence, and then there's like the main building to the hospital. And I see this guy jump over the black fence. And then I see the hospital security with lights going. I never see their lights on. Coming down. I immediately get out of my car because duh. Okay? Because then the guy jumps over the fence, runs across the street, and I see him jump down the embankment. Now listen, the parking garage that I park in the top level. Okay? There's a level below me and then another level below me. So this embankment is nothing but rock. It's a rock embankment all the way down to a rock bed, bitch. And he jumped down that. If I had to guess, it's probably 17 feet that he jumped down, legitimately. So of course, I get out of my car, duh, what the fuck do you think? And I've already got my phone recording, but I can't see anything because they're on the bottom floor in the actual garage. So I can't see shit, but I can hear him. And he's like, oh, I can't breathe. The wind's knocked out of me. I'm like, no fucking shit, Sherlock. So fast forward, like an hour. It's time for lunch, and I'm walking to the cafeteria, and I hear these two ladies talking about it. And I'm like, oh my God, what happened? Because I was in my car, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, so apparently he stole his grandmother's prescription. And his grandmother called the nurse and was like, hey, my grandson is wearing this, this, and this. And he just stole my prescription and ran off. And of course, he was caught. Not only that, but Granny pressed charges. Wow. Like, that's some tough love. Which leads me to the main premise. By the way, if you haven't tried this yet, it's so fucking good. And I don't really like the cheddar jalapeno Cheetos, like regular Cheetos, because they're a little too spicy for me. These aren't spicy at all, but they are so fire. Yes, stole from his own grandmother. Now, like I said, one of my TikTok videos got a lot of traction. And it's brought a lot of people to my YouTube channel because it's linked in my bio. So anytime a video goes viral on TikTok for me, I always get a couple hundred subscribers on YouTube. That's how this channel got monetized, and now we've gotten like 300, 400 subscribers in a day. So, anyways, people found my recovery video where I came out to you guys in the beginning of my YouTube career and told you guys that I'm in recovery from heroin. And I've been wanting to re-record those videos. I think it's like 3 parts. The reason I haven't is because I told the story exactly how it happened. I just didn't know. I wasn't comfortable with the camera yet, so I was a little backwards when talking to the camera, but that whole story is exactly how it happened. But people are taking the tough love and me being cut off from my family and acting like my family didn't give a fuck. So I want to talk about tough love when it comes to addiction. Number one, if you have not had an addict in your family, you do not get to comment. Why? Because you don't understand. You'll never get it. It'll never make sense to you. Ever. However, my mother did not just give up on me. Okay? Matter of fact, it wasn't until 2 years before I got sober that my mother finally showed tough love and cut me out of her life. Because she had spent 6 years getting phone calls of me overdosing, not knowing where I was, getting calls from the hospital that I was being strapped to a bed, that my arm was swollen and may be cut off in surgery. Crazy shit. Absolutely. Never knew where I was, who I was with, nothing. So, do I blame my mother for her own sanity and mental health cutting me out of her life? No, I do not. No, I do not. I was cut out for a different reason. I stole from my sister's husband once. That's the only time I ever stole. And I don't even remember it. The only reason I know I did that is because my stepdad told me. I don't even remember doing it. I was so fucked up. And it was $20. But still. I was so fucked out of my head I didn't know what I was doing. For the better part, I ignored my family anyways. Like if they tried calling me, I wouldn't answer. They wanted me to come over, I wouldn't answer. When I got the little bit of inheritance that was left to me by my nanny, which that's a whole other fucking story. But when I got that money, I blew it within a month. It was like 30 grand and I blew it in a month. All on drugs, every bit of it. So my family didn't just give up on me. It wasn't like I started doing drugs and then they were gone. Far from the truth. My drug addiction, the first 3 years from the age of 19 till I was 21, was swallowing pills. Okay? When I was 22 was the first time I snorted a pill. Did it once and never did it again. Okay? My nanny died when I was 23, and the day that I turned 24 is the day that I shot up heroin for the first time. From the ages of 24 all the way until I got sober. Let's see, what's that say? Yeah, 30 grand in a month. $33,297.14 to be exact. Yeah, from the time that I was 23, I was really 23 because it was the night of my birthday, was the first time I shot up. Until I got sober, I was shooting up heroin 8+ times a day. And that was to keep from being sick. Okay? However, I've not told this story yet, but I'm going to tell you guys this story because I need to. It's one of the biggest stories that I have to tell you guys. But basically, I had started babysitting my drug dealer's kids. He was not white. And he had basically asked me if I would go and pick some money up for him in Michigan. I was completely naive and stupid, had no idea what I was doing. I was also 24 years old. I had no clue what I was doing. Basically, he told me to pull up on the street, park there and pop the trunk. Do not get out of the car. I didn't. Somebody walked up to the trunk, put shit in the trunk, shut the trunk, and I drove off. And because I was able to do it that one time with no problem whatsoever, I continuously was asked to do that, and I was giving a shitload of heroin for free. So that was very bad for me because I didn't have to worry about being sick. I didn't have to, basically the entirety of my heroin addiction was covered for the better part. I didn't have to pay for my drugs. So yeah, my mother was getting calls that I was overdosed. That my uncle called her one time. He's also still suffering in his addiction. Called her and said that he had hit me with Narcan 4 times and I wasn't coming back to life. I was foaming at the mouth. All these phone calls my mother gets and doesn't know where I am half the time and if I'm okay, if I'm alive or dead. And then randomly she would call me on Facebook. It was always Facebook because I had no phone. Once I started heroin, I had no car, I had no friends, I had no family, I had nothing. All I had was heroin and the friends that I ran with during that time. And so when my family finally completely cut me out, and I was looking on Facebook and seeing pictures of my nieces and nephews growing up and me not being in their lives, and my mom getting remarried and me not even being there. My sister and brother-in-law, Samantha and Tyler, they've been together since 3rd grade. I've known Tyler his entire life, and when they got married, I wasn't there. Honestly, I did not enter my nephew's and my niece's life until 6 years ago. So, my niece turning 10, I missed over half of her life because I was on drugs. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, tough love is something that saved my life for me. And tough love saves a lot of people's lives. And 95% of the time, tough love saves a life way before enabling ever will. And I can say that my mother never enabled me. She never did. My nanny did. I don't think my nanny knew what she was doing, though. I don't think I've ever told you guys how my addiction started, but I had a miscarriage and something went wrong. That's why I can't have babies to this day, because they did something during that surgery and fucked my shit up, and I was in excruciating pain. all the time. And I was going to make a doctor's appointment. My nanny was like, well, before you do, like, my doctor's been giving me this medicine for like 3 years and I can't take it. It makes me sick, but I have a ton under the sink. If it helps you, you can have it all. Well, I looked under the sink and it was the old bottles of Oxycontin. If you have watched Dope Sick on Hulu, it's a new series. Those bottles that showed in that series are the exact bottles that was underneath my nanny's bathroom sink, and there were 43 bottles of them, and she still got it prescribed every single week. So that's how my addiction started. In the beginning, I would say for the first 2 years, I would take maybe a pill every 2 days. Like, it started off very slow, but then once you get addicted, for me, honestly, I really didn't know that I was addicted until my nanny died. And when my nanny died, I was like, okay, well, something's definitely wrong because I cannot fucking function. And then that's when I met said drug dealer, who was one of the worst evil people I've ever met. And he started dealing me heroin. He dealt me Opanas at first, and then he started dealing me heroin. And when the heroin started, it got really, really bad. And I started driving to Detroit for him. Then I started driving to Canada, and then I drove to Mexico, and things got deeper and deeper and deeper, and I started getting terrified. And finally, Easter came around of 2016, and I begged my mom to let me come to her house and detox and get sober. She told me no. No, I've heard this before. You say this all the time. You never fucking do it. I should have never had you come here. My sister took me back to the hotel that I was paying night by night. And my mom still does not know this, but her husband now, my stepdad, he is the one who was paying for my room. My mom still does not know that. He was paying for my room at this time, so I had a place to stay. And that night, I was sitting on the toilet in the bathroom of that hotel shooting up, and I got a call from my mom. She said, do you really want to get sober? Like, are you serious? Because if I bring you up here and you don't get clean, I'm done. Like, that's it. And I told her, yes, I'm serious. I want to get fucking clean. I'm over this life. Almost 30 years old, and I'm fucking over it. So that's what we did. My sister picked me up the next day. I got extremely high on heroin. And I was pretty much high for that day and the next day. And then my legs started to hurt. I started to get really sick. But I flushed everything I had, and I had a lot, down the toilet when my sister pulled into the parking lot of that hotel. And I have not used since then. And it is because of tough love that drove me to get sober. I didn't get sober because of tough love. I mean, my mom had been showing me tough love. It's because I wanted to get sober. I finally wanted to. But I think that tough love pushed me in the right direction for sure. And just spoiler alert, don't talk about my mama. Like all of you new people from TikTok, don't do it. It's a bad idea. I promise. Let me see. I've been clean for 10 years now, and addiction still affects me. My brother-in-law just got out of prison in the past December and was found dead June 2nd from an OD in a motel in Athens. He was only 45 years old. Yeah, I mean, Jesus Christ, you guys. I still have so many stories to tell you all. It's unfucking real. Fuck it. Let's tell this one. So, this is when fentanyl had just started popping up on the scene here in Knoxville. And this is also after I almost lost my arm due to elephant tranquilizers. That's what that scar and These are pretty faint now. It's been years ago, but that's what these scars are from. They had to literally dig elephant tranquilizer out of my bloodstream. It was fucked. Within a matter of like 0.2 seconds, my whole arm and hand was swollen. It was insane. So we had been hearing of fentanyl on the scene, and there is still to this day a pharmacy. There's two. I will not share where they are. So if there's anyone in Knoxville that's going to message me and ask where you could get these rigs, I'm not about to tell you where to get a needle. Okay? So please do not message me that shit. It's very triggering for me. Please do not. Okay? Anyways, there's these two pharmacies where you can get needles, and we went there one day, and the lady who worked at this one pharmacy, I will tell you it's in Maynardville, just to keep you safe. So, whatever. I mean, if there's people that's using in my area, and it's better for you to have a clean one than to use a dirty one and die. So, it's Riggs. It's Riggs Pharmacy in Maynardville. Anyways, the lady who works inside there, I don't know if she still does. Her name's Carolyn. She gave me Narcan. I was like, what the fuck is this? And she was like, this is Narcan. There is fentanyl in the heroin that's going around here in Knoxville, and it can stop your heart. Like, you will overdose, like, immediately. And I was like, oh, whatever. And I threw them in my bag. And we went back to this guy's house that I'm telling you guys about. We'll call him Larry, whatever. We go back to Larry's house, and he lived in this apartment. He was on Social Security, and he wasn't old, though. It was very weird. I've never known anybody in their 30s to have Social Security, but he did. He was like 35, not much older than me, and was on full-blown Social Security. Anyways, we get back to his apartment, and in his kitchen, there was like a bar. He didn't have chairs or anything there, and the bar came up to like your chest. So if you were standing up, like, this would be the bar. So we were standing there doing whatever, and he did his, and immediately fell, busted his chin on the bar, fell to the ground, immediately started foaming at the mouth, eyes rolling in the back of the head. The two people who were with us ran and left. And that's the unfortunate thing, is if you are in your addiction, which, please, if any of this is fucking triggering to you, please click out of this live. I will not take it personal, please. I would much rather you click out than to listen to this. Anyways, the unfortunate thing, when you are getting high with people, they are not your friends. They do not care about you. They care about them. They cannot help it. They're in their addiction. They're struggling. They left. Like, bye. But it wasn't in me. Like, I can't leave this man. I can't do that. So I remembered the Narcan that I had in my bag. Didn't know how to use it. Read the back of the thing. Did the first one. Nothing happened. Did the second one. He finally like, and like popped up. But that was the beginning. That was the beginning of fentanyl in Knoxville. So at the end of everything, when I got sober, what was found in my blood was mainly fentanyl. So I was told by the doctor that I seen when I got sober that my detox was so bad because of the fentanyl, which I didn't even know that I was doing, like, truly. But, you know, addiction affects more than just the addict. It affects their family, their spouses, their friends, their co-workers, their boss, their church family if they go to church. You know, if they're, you know, part of an LGBT community, it affects them. It affects everyone in your life is affected by you being an addict. They lose sleep, they worry. You know, I remember one time a Morgan Burton, which was my name, my maiden name at the time. It's not my name anymore. There was a Morgan Burton who was the same age as me that died in Knoxville, and my whole fucking family was blowing up my Facebook. And I knew something was weird because my whole family was like calling my Facebook, and like my aunts and stuff were like, you need to call your mother right now if you're okay. Like, I was like, what is going on? And then someone I was running around with at the time was like, you're dead. Your name's in the paper. I was like, what? Like, it affects everybody. And if it gets to the point to where the addict in your life is causing you anxiety, messing with your mental health, they're robbing you, they're damaging your way of life, you have to show tough love. You have to. Enabling kills more lives than tough love does. And that's facts. That's facts without the printer, baby. I thank God every day that my mother showed me tough love and cut me out of her life, because it is one of the major things that when my sister Samantha cut me off, that's really what done the push, because she is a part of my soul. Like, Samantha is a part of the air that I breathe. And I can't talk too much about it because I'm literally going to cry on this app right now. But like, when the night that I almost lost my arm, like, I screamed at my mom for bringing her. I told her to get her the fuck out of my hospital room. And my sister still stood by me and told me she loved me and all this and that. But when she wouldn't return my calls, and I knew she had cut me out, like, and later told me it was basically like they all had like a funeral for me. That's fucking fucked. But they had to, for themselves and their kids and my mom's grandkids. Like, they had to do that. If they wouldn't have showed me that, I don't know if I ever would have truly been ready to get sober. I think that that's really what pushed me to want to get sober, was having nobody. I truly felt alone. And at this point, Chris had gotten sober. He got sober before me, well before me, 2 years before me. And he never enabled me. He wouldn't give me money or anything, but he would get me hotel rooms. And I could always depend on him to get me a hotel room or to bring me food, or, fuck. And then he messaged me one day and said, I'm going to have to block your number. I care about you too much that I can't handle this anymore. But if you ever get sober, just let me know. And I'll unblock you. I'll always be waiting on you. And he told me that. I still have that message to this day. So Chris was the last one to show tough love. It was my mom, my sisters, then Samantha, then Chris. And at that point, I had no friends. All of my friends, of course, blood's thicker than water. So all of my friends had already did all they could do. And had my nanny not died, my nanny would still be. Because that's just who my nanny was. My nanny had no idea the dangers of what was going on. She had no clue. She didn't know what she was doing. But I think it was a week and a half after Chris cut me off was Easter. And he gave me a ride to my mom's that day. And I told him on the way up there, I'm getting sober. Like, I'm going to ask Mom if I can detox up here. And he was like, yeah, okay. And he dropped me off. And he went and spent the day with his family. I wasn't even allowed to stay up the night at my mom's at the time. So my sister took me back to the hotel I was in. And if you're from Knoxville, it was off the Strawberry Plains exit. That little shitty Days Inn. That's where I was staying. And the rest is history. My mom called, told me this was my last opportunity. Went up there the next day. I was fine that day and like part of the next day, just in case you are someone who wants to get sober off of heroin or fentanyl or pain pills, you know. I was on for basically a day. I was on drugs. The rest of that day and the better part of the next, I'm not going to say that I felt perfect that next day by no means, but I made myself not sleep so that I could continue to feel better. And then about 8:30 in the morning the next day, I finally passed out and I slept until 3 o'clock. And when I woke up, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt, you know, withdrawal had set in. But day 3 was the worst for me. That was the day that I shit myself in the middle of the night. I was crying hysterics because I felt my mom was so concerned. She literally called like a doctor to come see me because my withdrawals were so bad. My whole body was convulsing. My blood pressure was fucked. So she called this doctor and he wanted to give me Subutex. And he said, I'm concerned that she's going to have a heart attack if we don't give her something and taper her off. And I declined. And he said, okay, well then I'm going to have you put on the 7th floor of a hospital and strapped to a bed. Because we're going to have to, you're literally going to have a heart attack. And that's why I say it's so important, you guys. If you do your withdrawals, that's fine, okay? Do your detox. I support that fully. But if you do not feel good, like you feel your heart pounding out of your chest and you're sweating and freezing and you fucking have to check in with the doctor. You need to check your blood pressure, your heart rate. And if a fucking doctor suggests something, you know, use your better judgment, but also do what feels right. I used Subutex for 2 days. And if you are addicted to fentanyl or heroin, that may be your path. If your heart rate and blood pressure gets like that, you may have to, just to help you with the withdrawals. I would not recommend methadone. A lot of people ask me about my recommendations on that. I'm not a doctor. I think that you should do whatever you and your doctor think is right for you. I am not against Suboxone. I'm not against methadone. I'm not against any of that. I think whatever works for you and helps you get sober is what you should fucking do. That's why that medicine is made. I have just experienced a lot of negativity around methadone. But again, speak to your doctor and do what's right for you. For me, I use Subutex. He gave me 5. I had his prescription for 5, and I used 2 of them. And the rest were flushed down a toilet by myself. Let's see. I have all this written down in a journal, but I think it was like the 7th day that I took a shower. I went 7 days without a shower because the water hurt my skin. But on the 7th day, my 7th day sober, I took a shower. The 9th day was the first day I ate solid food. My mom was making me like smoothies and I would drink like a quarter of them, but she was putting like the nutrients in them that I needed to like live. I wasn't really drinking much water either. So the day that doctor came, which was on my 3rd day, he gave me a full bag of fluid, which did make me feel a lot better. I will say that bag of fluid did make me feel a lot better. The 11th day, my mother, and I was still feeling like shit. Like that's when you're coming back into your actual personality and learning who you are all over again as a sober, because when you're on drugs, like guys, y'all would have not even recognized me. I was a completely different, like crazy bitch. Okay, I'm not exaggerating. So on the 11th day, my mom told me to get dressed. I did like eyeliner, mascara, and I think I put lip gloss on. Maybe I can't remember. I'm sure I wore blush. I'm sure I did. And she drove me into Morristown, Tennessee, and had me apply for jobs all day on my 11th day. And I remember applying at a Hardee's, and I was shaking like this because I was freezing and I was pouring sweat filling out that application. And I was still like not fully myself yet. So I remember the manager of that fucking Hardee's asking me if I was okay, and I told him that I was withdrawing off dope. I remember saying that, handing him the application, and walking out the door. However, I did get hired at a Dairy Queen. Yeah. Yeah, Dairy Queen hired me and knew everything, knew fully. He let me have another 7 days before he started me. So I remember that I was 18 days sober when I started at the Dairy Queen. And that's when I moved in with my sister and my niece. And then me and Chris had already started talking at that point, I believe. Yeah, well, I moved in with my sister, and I was 16 days sober when I moved in, 17 days sober when I started my job, 36 days sober when me and Chris started talking. Like, we went on a date. We had been talking the whole time, but he wouldn't go on a date with me until I got 30 days. And then on 36 days, he agreed to go on a date with me. And the very next morning after that date, he was leaving for Missouri for 3 months. And that really fucking triggered me. And I remember digging through the duffel bag that I hadn't went through. It was the duffel bag that I had left of all of my stuff. At the end of my drug use, I had one duffel bag with like one pair of leggings, one pair of shorts, two shirts, and a pair of flip-flops. Like, it was, I had nothing. But when he left for Missouri, it really triggered me, and I searched that whole bag for drugs. My niece walked in while I was scrambling through the bag like a crazy person and was crying so bad, and was scared. She, when she walked in that room, I was not myself. And so as soon as I seen Jaden, I stopped. And that was the last time that I can remember, like, honestly, if I would have had drugs, using them. And that was like I don't know, maybe 42 days sober or something like that, 40 something days sober. I have it in a journal. Anyways, the Missouri trip ended up not going as long as they thought. He was only gone for 3 weeks. Came back, and we have been together ever since. When he came back, he was like, okay, we're living together. This is it. Like, so that's what we did. And I've been sober ever since. A lot of people ask about drinking for me because you guys see me drink wine. I've never had an issue with alcohol. To be quite frank, I don't really like the taste of alcohol. So, and I was the type of person, if I couldn't get my DOC, so if I couldn't get a pain pill or heroin, I wouldn't use. So I would just stay sick. Weed has never done what it does for other people for me, ever. I wish it would have given me some type of relief, but literally anytime that I smoke marijuana, I go straight to sleep. I eat like a 7-course meal and then pass out. I do like beer, but I'm extreme lightweight, so 3 beers and I'm where Morgan, as far as Morgan's gonna get. But yeah, alcohol has never had that hold on me. It's only it's only drugs, it's only opiates. Like, that's all that does that. But yeah, I just want you guys to have a better understanding of why my family chose to show tough love. And I also respond to anyone who messages me with questions about getting sober. There are 7 or 8 of you guys now who I talk to daily who are in your recovery journey. One of you is going to attempt to start their recovery journey this Friday, which makes me very excited. And I've helped several of you get into sober living houses. I've helped several of you find rehabs in your area. I've helped several of you find jobs that do hire people who are on Suboxone or Subutex, etc. That's one of the main things that this platform will always be used for, and it is going to be a safe place for people in their recovery or people who plan to recover, because I really truly do feel that every addict, my hope and my prayer is that one day we can get to a place where every addict can find their way to recovery, because unfortunately there is a large portion of people who suffer from addiction, regardless of what they're addicted to, whether it's alcohol or drugs. They don't make it to recovery, which is devastating. I haven't shared this online. I was given permission to by her family months ago, but someone that I sponsored for a while and was in a really good place until COVID happened, and she was quarantined by herself. She had gotten herself an apartment. She had gotten a really good job. The job ended up sending everybody home to work, and unfortunately, she relapsed. And you know, addiction has just taken so many people that I care about. And so if I can be that person to anyone, please feel free to message me. I don't charge anything. If there's people online charging you, find someone that you resonate with. Try to find someone else that you resonate with. I will give you as much advice as I possibly can and do as much for you as I can. I will not send money, so before that even happens, it's not happening. But I will help you as much as I can, even if it's just a listening ear. Let's see, what was that? Okay, let's go ahead and mute you. Okay. Let me check this message I just got on email, you guys. Okay, this message is kind of hard for me to understand. He's saying, Krista, he was saying he was going to shit in the duffel bag I was talking about. Anyways, to the person who just emailed me, I know you want to stay anonymous. If I don't have the question correctly, please feel free to email me again. I'm struggling to make out what you mean. So sober living houses is a place where you have to have already been through a detox. So you've already had to detox yourself. So with sober living, you cannot go in and still need to detox. If you are needing to detox, which is typically a 7-day detox, and then you can go through you can go to a sober living house after detox, or if you prefer more of like a 12-step program, like a rehab situation. That wasn't for me, but it depends on what works for you. I can either try to find you depending on what state you're in. I know places for pretty much every state. There's a few. I'm not real familiar with Hawaii or Alaska, but if you're pretty much anywhere else, I can try to find you either a sober living house to go to afterwards, or I can have you sent to a rehab, and a lot of the rehabs that I'm familiar with are free. If you are in Tennessee in particular, I have a really good one that's in Nashville that is free. and you can even go through their sober living and into their program. They have a basically their program is a year long, and then after a year they have like little apartments that is your own. You can have your vehicle, then you can have your phone, you can work a job, and you pay like a very small rent to live there. And then you also volunteer a lot of your time to the place. To they feed the homeless and all kinds of things. It is one of the rehabs that I went to, but again, like I said, 12-step program is not necessarily for me. I hope that answered your question. If it did not, feel free to email me again and I will answer it. Let's see what this says here. Okay, so with this question, I don't know if you want to be anonymous or not, so I'm just going to keep everybody anonymous unless you say you can say my name in the message. When it comes to being tapered and stuff like that, that is not going to be at a free rehab. So you would have to pay to go somewhere like that. And I do know that what it says in your email is that you do have state insurance. So I don't know if you're in Tennessee, but Tennessee is TennCare. If you have something like that, most rehabs will accept your insurance. However, there are typically waiting lists. So if you are planning on starting your recovery journey, you need to go ahead and get yourself on a list at a detox center. But again, typically detox is 7 days. 7 to 10 days, and that is not enough. You need to find yourself, you need to have a plan for after that 7 to 10 days. You need to have yourself a sponsor, someone who is going to help you along the way. You need to at least have some type of someone who can either reach out to your family for you if your family has completely cut you out or something. Confused. Okay, Natalie, there is, okay, you said I can say your name. Okay. Natalie, there is a sober living house called God's Creations in Ohio. I can't, off the top of my head right now, I'm on my phone live, so I can't search my notes. I don't know where it is. I'm pretty sure it's in Dayton. If that's in Ohio, I'm pretty sure this sober living house is in Dayton. If you just Google free sober living in Ohio, though, you should be able to find God's Creations. It is a faith-based place, and it is based on addiction. However, they do also take in people who are homeless. They're just put in a separate side of the facility, and that's how a lot of sober living slash free rehabs are. But they typically do keep people who are there just to stay off the street in a totally different area of the facility. But a lot of them are faith-based. However, if you are familiar with the 12-step program, it says your higher power, whatever it is that you resonate with being your higher power. So whether that be the universe or whatever that may be, you can still, release all of your burdens to your higher power. But I've mentioned this several times. I feel that the 12-step program is very much outdated and needs to be updated. I have written out a more millennial 21st century version of the 12-step program. It does still have the basic values and principles of the 1932 version that was written out, or 1936 version that was written out. It's just more up to date. Because I feel that technology is something that needed to be inserted into the 12-step program that was not mentioned in it, because obviously they didn't have to worry about, your phones and the numbers saved in your phones and your Facebook and the people that you message on your Facebook in 1931. They didn't need to worry about that. So if you are interested in a more up-to-date version, you can message me and I'll send it to you for free. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, try the other 12-step program. That is the main thing, is to keep working. You know, every day you're going to have to start from scratch. Unfortunately, every single day is a new day, and you're going to come up with new obstacles. Also, to the person who just messaged about it almost being their anniversary of recovery and they're finding it very hard, this is a very common question I get, because this happens to pretty much everyone who is in NA or who is in their recovery from drugs or alcohol. The year mark is a make or break point for, I would say, in my personal opinion, about 93% of recovering addicts. Because at that point, you start to fool yourself and say, okay, well, I've made it this far, so I could do it one time and be totally fine. No, you cannot. No, you cannot. It is important at the year mark, you have yourself a hobby already built up. And if you are already at your year mark with no hobby, you have not planned, you did not plan for that year mark, you didn't have a sponsor, so your sponsor didn't inform you, or even if you did have a sponsor and maybe your sponsor just didn't think to tell you that, or maybe their year mark wasn't hard for them, the year mark is super important, because we are very cocky in our heads as addicts, and we think that we can handle it. We cannot handle it. It will not just be a one-time pick up and put down situation. We will pick it up and we will pick it up and we will pick it up and we will pick it up until eventually we're back down the rabbit hole. And even if you use once, that is a relapse, okay? And we need to work on ourselves. And why did we relapse? It's okay if you relapse. It's not the end of the world. You can still make it in your recovery, even if you relapse, even if it's been 5 years and you relapsed. We need to find out what made you relapse. What happened? Was it stress? What was it? What happened? Was it a breakup? Do we have some family trauma we need to deal with? What is it that's causing that relapse? Okay. But the year mark is super crucial. And I think that at the half year mark, you need to find yourself a hobby. It needs to be something that's healthy. It does not need to be sexually related. It does not need to be based on another human being. Mine was makeup. Find something that takes up your time that you can focus on. Art is a wide range of things. It could be makeup, it could be music, it could be poetry, it could be painting, it could be sculpting. There's so many different things. Photography, filming, editing videos, whatever it is, find something that fulfills you and fills up your time and gives your mind something else to think about aside from dope, aside from alcohol, aside from sex, aside from gambling. Whatever you're addicted to, at the 6-month mark, start exploring journaling or, writing music or painting or doing makeup or whatever the case. Start focusing on that hobby, okay? And that way, when you're at your year mark, your mind will have more to think about than NA meetings and, staying sober and could I handle it just once, and those questions. If you have a hobby, you're less likely at your year mark to relapse. That is like a proven statistic, okay? So, if there's any other questions you guys have or any type of pointers you guys want, or if you're going through a hard time in your recovery or a family member is, I will do my best to give you guys the best advice that I can. I do counsel people, several people. I do volunteer a lot of my time to recovery and to other addicts. And you guys are part of me at this point. I love all of you guys so much, and I just want you guys to be happy. And life is so fucking short. Let's try to start living our life today instead of getting high today. So yeah, I love you guys so much. It is about my bedtime. I had to take myself a Benadryl tonight because my nose has been running like crazy. I am now at the hospital. They are having us take a rapid test when we get to work, when we leave. So I know that I do not have COVID. I was tested when I got to work and when I left But my nose has been running today, so I took me a Benadryl, and those knock me out. So, anyways, I love you guys. Thank you all for eating dinner with me tonight. I hope you guys have a fantastic Tuesday, and until the very next time, bye, guys.